Fox News is literally government press now.
So Hasan Piker just called out Fox News becoming literal state media under Trump, and he's absolutely right. We're watching the complete merger of supposedly independent journalism with government propaganda in real time. This breakdown shows how Trump's bizarre reaction to assassination attempts reveals his true authoritarian mindset.
I mean, they've always been. It's always been. Whenever a Republican is in charge, Fox News is state media, always.
This pattern goes back decades. Fox pushed Bush's WMD claims without question, gave Trump endless free airtime in 2016, and actively promoted January 6 conspiracy theories. Under Reagan, they pioneered the conservative media ecosystem. Now they're not even pretending to be independent. They're direct government mouthpieces.
Like he's behaving very strangely, noticeably cheery. His tone is noticeably positive. He's like, it is what it is. You know, a lot of people, they want to kill me because I'm special. That's what he keeps saying.
Normal politicians would be somber, concerned about security, calling for unity. Trump's treating attempted murders like campaign rallies. This isn't leadership, it's narcissistic personality disorder on full display. He's literally energized by people trying to kill him because it feeds his victim complex and sense of importance.
Very smart people are trying to kill me is an interesting thing to say. Yeah. Another thing that is interesting is he keeps saying, like, the more people try to kill me, the more I see my importance. It's like, you're the president, man. Yeah, of course you're important.
This is textbook narcissistic supply, using trauma and threats to fuel his ego rather than addressing the actual danger. Most presidents would be terrified and reflective. Trump sees assassination attempts as validation of his specialness. It's the mindset of someone fundamentally unfit for democratic leadership.
Trump famously hates using violence to change the constitutional course, except on January 6th, and also basically every other day that he is alive, okay? He has been... It's not like it was just relegated to January 6th where he was trying to utilize violence or violent rhetoric. He's done it every single day before January 6th and every single day after January 6th. There's, as a matter of fact, never been a day. These last 24 hours might be the only time where this motherfucker hasn't been talking in a violent manner.
The receipts are endless. Lock her up chants about Clinton, suggesting Second Amendment people could stop Hillary, praising January 6th rioters as patriots, calling for death penalties for drug dealers, threatening to deploy military against protesters. Violence has been his political brand since day one.
I will always repeat this. There's nothing funnier than Jim Comey perhaps being the most responsible singular figure that allowed Trump to be president in 2016. But because he refused to play ball with Trump after, he became a liberal media darling and Trump hates him forever. It'll never not be funny.
Comey's October 28th letter dropped Clinton's polling by 2-3 points in the final week, exactly Trump's margin of victory in swing states. Yet because Comey later refused to pledge loyalty to Trump, he became a resistance hero. One of history's most consequential political ironies.
Bro, the intelligence community needs to monitor his former fans. This is the first time it's not a former fan, but just a straight up hater. I'm just saying, if you want to take this seriously, if you want to prevent further Trump assassination attempts, you should probably take a close look at people who are really into Trump, voted for Donald Trump, and have fallen out of favor with Donald Trump because of, the Epstein files, or I guess maybe because of his dealings with Ukraine, as in the case of Ryan Routh. I'm just saying.
Both Ryan Routh and the Pennsylvania shooter were former Trump supporters who turned against him. This pattern is crucial. It's not leftist radicals targeting Trump. It's his own disillusioned base. The intelligence community should absolutely be monitoring Trump's former fan base for potential threats.
So I went through this, and his account is extremely normal, liberal, progressive stuff. He mostly reposted and shared news about Ukraine fundraisers and the like. His few posts are about that and his dislike of AI as a teacher. Yeah, he was. He was a very typical blue sky liberal. He definitely tends more towards liberal than far left. He shared a post during the Hasan shoplifting discourse that suggests he reacted negatively to Hasan's arguments in that article. He also shared a recent post that was pretty clearly anti-firearms ownership, a little hypocritical. He shared several posts related to the Correspondents' Dinner, all of them very critical of the journalists who attended. His posting diet was otherwise very normal and largely followed on some big accounts on here. He shared Ben Collins making a joke about Blue Sky activating an emergency pervert filter. He shared my post laughing about the Pope being soft on crime. He shared a lot of Will Stancil posts. Yeah, he's leaving out that he's a NAFO guy. Yeah, he was definitely a NAFO guy. He was one of the blue sky. He was very big on NATO and Ukraine. Weird because it is kind of similar to Ryan Ruth in some respects. And David Cleon is right. If you spend a lot of time on Blue Sky, you know the vibe there is way more radicalized and bloodthirsty than the vibe on left Twitter. Which, by the way, I need you to understand something.
This analysis perfectly captures how mainstream liberal spaces have become more radicalized than traditional left Twitter. Blue Sky's algorithm and echo chamber effect creates bloodthirsty rhetoric among ordinary Democrats. The New Orleans attacker wasn't some fringe radical. He was a typical suburban liberal.
Good thing, hey, look at our non-violent president, dude. I love listening to our non-violent president engage in non-violent rhetoric. It's awesome.
Trump literally spent the same interview discussing military strikes and infrastructure destruction while claiming to be peaceful. It's gaslighting in real time. Deny your violent rhetoric while simultaneously engaging in it. Classic authoritarian doublethink that his base completely accepts.
One of the testaments to how much violent rhetoric Donald Trump engages in on a regular basis is the fact that every time I refresh my timeline, I hear yet another thing that Trump had said that I had forgotten. One that I recently saw was how Donald Trump had celebrated the brutal murder of Rob Reiner. Another one that I remember is when he celebrated the death of Robert Mueller. Like, it's so funny. You forget because he does it every single day. So you oftentimes forget way more instances where he has either celebrated violence or demanded violence.
This constant stream creates normalization through overwhelm. When someone threatens violence daily, individual instances become background noise. It's a deliberate strategy. Flood the zone with so much extremism that people stop tracking specific threats. Classic authoritarian communication tactics.
Like, there is not a day that goes by where Trump is not talking about being violent to his political opposition. Not a single day. So it's so funny when these guys will then turn around and be like, oh, we got to turn down the rhetoric. The left is the real violence. The real violence is coming from the left over and over again.
Projection is fascism 101. Accuse your enemies of what you're actually doing. Trump uses daily violent rhetoric, then claims Democrats are the real threat. It provides cover for his base to ignore his actual behavior while feeling justified in their own extremism.
There's never been an instance where the Republicans haven't pounced on any official narrative and immediately called it, immediately leaned into conspiracy theories, blaming a litany of factors, trans people, Antifa, Joe Biden, you know? They still say the election was stolen. Trump still says the election was stolen from him in 2020. He did January 6th. It's so crazy to me.
Even now in 2026, Republicans blamed Democrats, trans people, and Antifa for the New Orleans attack before any facts emerged. They still claim 2020 was stolen despite Trump being president again. Truth doesn't matter, only the narrative that justifies their grievance politics.
Ben Stiller got it done. Got what done, says Nancy Mays. Ben Stiller was talking about basketball and people were like, oh, you did this. You did this act of violence against our big, beautiful president. Dude, I'm crying. He's just trying to tweet about basketball. Here comes this unhinged lunatic. There is going to have to be a point where we address the elephant in the room, that there is a significant crisis with the mental faculties of a decent chunk of the American population, a decent chunk of the American electorate. And I'm not kidding when I say this, like, we are at the mercy of their sometimes schizophrenic hallucinations. That is the future that America is moving in the direction of. The lunatics are running the asylum, but they always have? No. This is definitely... Yeah, what did he know? Careful, Chief. They're going to think you're saluting the Iranian army. Ben Stiller. Is he saluting the IRGC? Is he saluting Galibaf, the parliament? The speaker of the Iranian parliament? What did he know? What does he know? What has he done? It's like, that's where we're at now.
Ben Stiller tweeting about basketball became evidence of a vast conspiracy. This isn't political polarization, it's mass delusion fueled by social media algorithms. When random celebrity tweets become assassination plots in people's minds, democracy itself becomes impossible to sustain.